Today is Saturday, December 5th, 2020, and in this video, I'm going to read from this, and I didn't write this. I just think it's really interesting, and I wanted to share it. And I guess I'll just take a moment to, well, first I'll remind you that I have a backup channel, Hornsworm Hat 2, so you should go check that out. I'll still post videos there every once in a while. And I guess I'll just say what I've been doing with my time since I haven't been making daily videos. Well, I have been working on a side project. And I've had a speaker in the past who likes to bring up web rings. We should go back to web rings. And I think it kind of goes into the idea of empty internet. The internet just feels so cold and robotic, and it's like people only really go to major websites these days. And even since the days of MySpace, it's been a sharp decline in your ability to personalize things. MySpace, you could personalize your whole web page. And now we have Facebook where everybody gets the same thing. And I mean, even what I do here, I have to submit to YouTube and all their draconian, they get to decide what hate speech is. And anyways, I really do support the idea of people making their own personal web pages, and I love the idea of going back to web rings and people forming their own online communities again, instead of this everybody gets the same thing and people are only going to these big websites. And I think it's just clear now that all of the big websites are totally controlled, and none of them support free speech, and none of them really even have interesting things anymore. It's just the new TV. The internet has become the new TV. And yeah, so that's, I've been working on a side project, just working on my own little website. And if you're interested in making your own website, leave me a comment and I'll try to get you started. I just think it's a really fun thing to do with your time. And you could even just treat it like a journal. But yeah, I think it's a really smart way to communicate. Can't rely on big Facebook, Reddit, anybody who's tried to do truthing on any of these big platforms, that they just shut you down. And so I think people need to stop relying on them and just make your own webpage and just back it up. And yeah. So I'm going to read from this. We remember the friendly media produced for our level of cognitive development, and shamefully in retrospect, common mass media was probably the most significant thing in our lives. It provided an escape from the confusing world we were just thrust into without explanation. But media promoted conflicting messages and promoted sinister agendas. It's just incessant. Being awake, having a TV on in the background there's almost nothing as infuriating as that, because you can't go 30 seconds without them just doing something that triggers you. Like, children's programming is so full of outer space dinosaur stuff, it is nauseating. We were constantly bombarded with, never ever judge a book by its cover. Appearances can be misleading, but usually that was, hideous deformed monster has a heart of gold, which can be a valid in real life lesson and good moral, but it's more complex in real life than it is on paper. Evil people do have their tells. The light of the body is in the eyes. Good people have light emanating from their eye sockets, noticeably between the eyeballs behind the skin. Keep a lookout for this because it's rare. I guess I'll just point out here that, yeah, this is a message that definitely brainwashed me. I'll just say, because I feel like I have always had just a sense about people, and certain people just look straight up evil. And just for instance, TV pastors, I've just always been able to look at the pastors on TV that they have, and I could just tell that they look evil. But you get brainwashed into, well, you can't judge people by the way that they look. Bullshit. If somebody looks straight up demonically possessed, then there's probably something to that. And I guess I'll just put here too, not just the way people look, but like the vibes that people throw off. Sometimes just being in the room with a certain person just makes you feel sick in the pit of your stomach. You got to listen to those feelings, because there's probably something there. So you can pause and read this if you want, but basically, this is from Roald Dahl, I believe, and it's saying, just because you're ugly doesn't necessarily mean that you look evil. Evil people will look evil. There's ugly people that look happy and smiley and cheery. Even if they both have long noses and crazy teeth, and there's still a difference between looking evil and being ugly, but having a nice spirit. Beauty standards are just Bafo standards. Those models are all Bafos and hilariously photoshopped on top of that. How about them bobble-headed Calvin Klein jeans and jeans ad models? By the way, Calvin Klein, Calvin means bald, and CK 31133. Yeah, there's a lot of that stuff. Real girls would only wonder why no matter what they did, they'd never look like the she-her beautiful people who need makeup and Photoshop to not look like outright boys. And any rare real boys, lads, boy and girl don't appear in the Bible, but lads and maidens do. Laddie, lady, laddie, gentleman. Yeah, men are not supposed to be gentle. Continuing. Real boys might be very lost. Excuse me. Real boys might be very lost and confused and think they're gay and ugly because they look so radically different from all in real life he, him people, and they'll naturally find she celebs hideous and repulsive and find the he celebs cute and hot. And yeah, I'll just say that I definitely connect with this. So I never like pursued a gay lifestyle or anything like that, but you hear people talk about, oh, if I can't find a woman by the time I'm this age, maybe I'm gay or something like that. Just because I definitely connect with this. I would always hear people raving about the hottest celebrities, and I'm just sitting there like, so as a real man, that makes you, it's like, why do I not find these people that they're saying are supposed to be so hot? I just look at that and I'm like, ugh. And so I have a strat sister. I just have this growing up. A lot of people would talk to me, oh, your sister's so hot, your sister's so hot. And of course, because she's my sister, I never thought of her that way in general. But to me, I was always just like, okay, whatever you say, just because I didn't understand then that I'm not attracted to castrato. I'm not attracted to Swire. And I dated one for a while, but it was just one of those things. You know, can't judge a book by a cover. How much programming is there out there for attraction isn't all about physical? So that's the thing. I even ended up in relationships with Swire, even though I wasn't that interested, just because I figured, well, relationships aren't all about being crazy physically attracted to someone. And it's like I didn't even know what to find attractive until I finally realized the skulls and bones thing, and everything makes sense now. But I just very much connect with this because I was that person that I was like, why do the female celebrities, they do nothing for me? But then I could see attractiveness in people that claimed to be men. And I remember being surrounded by a bunch of boys in high school that I was like, oh my gosh, like why can't I be cute like that? Like, why are they so cute? And I remember being jealous of their skin. Like, why do all these boys have such nice skin and then I'm over here like crater face? Anyways, I very much connect with that. But thank God, Jesus Christ woke me up, and now I'm not confused at all anymore. Now I understand. Oh, I wasn't attracted to any of the female celebs because they were men. And that's why Swires don't really attract me. But it was a weird thing. Like, I didn't know about the difference between Swire and bio females, so I didn't get it yet. Anyways. We were taught about people that never existed and were guilt-tripped by the curriculum and select Bafo teachers with ill intent every opportunity. School and mass media all blared the same mixed messages 24/7, doing all they could to make sure there was no escape from their influence. That's one of the ways that they do it, is just pounding it into your brain. If you tell a lie enough times, it'll stick. They know that. And you see them utilize those tricks. And yeah, I'll just keep it at that. There's a few major events that if you research it, you can see that they just appeared out of nowhere and people just kept telling the lie, and then it sticks. Okay. Back on Don't Judge a Book by Its Cover, other stories about that would be about a conventionally attractive, according to TV controlled media standards, but look weird and creepy to in real life normal people. By the way, we've become somewhat resistant to the uncanny valley effect. Now it takes the most uncanny of uncanny creeps to register as noticeably eerie to us. I don't know why this just popped into my mind. Do you guys remember the strange YouTube psyop Nassim or whatever? That just looked like a CGI person. That person threw off such uncanny vibes, but it's like everybody just accepted that it was a real person. No, I don't think so. We see so many edited and outright fabricated media personalities like Elon Musk that don't even exist at all. Yeah, Elon Musk is just deep fake tech. Or the original model for the photo was so heavily edited it could just as well have been any other model. So anyways, pretty character turns out to be to be real nasty and cruel. We know that in real life all too well. In fact, that one probably hits close to home. Obviously, we all know a zillion in real life examples of conventionally homely people who are super awesome and TV tier model looking people that should have been dissolved in acid several years ago. Some things never change. To save yourself tons of grief, notice immediately if anyone has stark white googly eye sclera. So just the white part of the eyes, there's some people out there that the whites of their eyes are like creepy cartoon character whites. And yeah, they tend to be baffo people. I don't know if that's from hormone abuse or what. Something that these people do, it makes the whites of their eyes like scary white, like they have Google eyes. Mindless, vapid behavior and parroting behavior. Money obsession, fashion obsession, mindlessly copies trends. Holds inexplicable BS job they're not remotely qualified for. Narcissist, vapid, greedy, mindless consumer. Speaks in memes and not like a real person. Easily frustrated and unable to comprehend simple logical things. Freaks out and has a meltdown over mild criticism. So I just want to make a point about the easily frustrated and unable to comprehend simple logistical things. I don't know if some of them are just really mentally incapable. I think some of them are just, I don't know what about it, especially really old castrato. Something about the Swire thing, when they stunt them and they don't let them develop properly, their mental capabilities get stunted as well. But I think that this also is a thing. They do this thing where if they're trapped in a corner or if they know that there's no good way out of their lies or whatever, they just pretend to be stupid. It's a way for these people to get out of stuff. They just pretend to not understand you. And so that there might be a little bit of that going on. You can try to explain something in the most simple, basic way, but if that goes against what this person needs to push, they will just act like they don't even understand what's coming out of your mouth. They play dumb. Okay, continuing the list of... This is a list of how to save yourself grief. Notice immediately the following properties that people have. If they originated from a test tube, they have a weird appearance, has oddly simplistic biology, doesn't seem as sturdy as normal biology, erratically hostile behavior, verbal cruelty, demented clown grin with creepy wide smile, lack of free will, unquestioning slave to latest signal. I guess here I'll talk about the strange facial things. These inverts, they are obsessed with little tricks that they can do that change their appearance. I remember in middle school age, about maybe it was high school age, I don't really remember, a Free Martin friend of mine brought up how, oh, did you know if you hold your tongue in your mouth so that it doesn't touch any sides of your mouth, if you like hold your tongue in your mouth so it's in the middle and not touching anything, it changes the shape of your jaw. Or I don't remember if they said it just changes the shape of your jaw or makes your jaw look bigger. Anyways, what the heck is some high school aged guy, alleged guy, why are they talking about something like this? Why do they even know something like this? And you'll notice that the castrati, they hold their mouth in weird ways, and when they take photos, they smile in weird ways. What is up with the Joker face smile that these castrati slash dudes in dresses, they smile in weird ways, and their lips especially. They do weird things with their lips, like their upper lip. It's kind of a meme, too. There's Frank Zappa, something about the upper lip area, and people talk all the time about smelly upper lips and things. The MTF, they do weird things with their upper lip when they smile, and a lot of them even have a horizontal line on their upper lip. I think they might be getting their philtrum surgically smaller, because men have a large philtrum. Anyways, they're weird. They posture weird. They do weird things with their faces because that's just the way they are, because they want to pass. Yep, that's a pea zombie for sure. Did you notice if any of those weird, lanky, gangly girls mentioned being test tube babies? Do you wonder why traditional, normal sex is treated as a major taboo? The powers that be want all humans to come from test tubes. Only God can give his creation souls. Satan can make bootlegs with algorithm spirits. And ever notice that people only sell their souls? Fake purchases are a situational thing that happens. When some in real life super low street theater actor comes on stage at a workplace to conduct a transaction and shake hands, but no deals were actually made on the lot. It's convoluted stuff. Remember, it's a big, big club and you're not in it. I guess just with this stuff, I hear a lot of stories about people where they say stuff about how they're at the workplace or they're in a situation and they hear somebody walk in and like loudly do something, and the people are like, it seems like they wanted me to hear this all go down. They wanted me to be a witness to this thing. I'll just throw it out there because that's a way that their street theater works a lot of times. Somebody will walk in a room and start loudly doing something, and you're like, hey, you could have easily kept this all private. Why did you need me to hear this? Anyways, remember that bit about how acting and performing mandatory skits and plays were a part of standard public curriculum? And how about that Easter Bunny, Santa Claus, Tooth Fairy stuff the adults would push on children, thinking it was all good fun, or that lying and jerking emotions and expectations around was all in good fun? Tears, goats, bootleg people. Here I'll say too, they do the memes in school. High school, middle school, all of that stuff. Public education is Masonry. It's indoctrination into the Masonic agenda, and it's brainwashing for the asleep. But at the same time, it's an illumination process for the little puppets, the slave class, the inverts. And so just what this reminded me of, the mandatory skits and plays. Oh man, there was something that I wanted to talk about. Oh, I remember at my high school, and I've brought this up, and I get comments of people all over the place saying, oh, they did that at my high school too. In my high school, there was like a whole week where the popular kids, the tears, the ones whose parents were probably high up in Masonry in the area, there was a day in high school where it wasn't a day, it was a whole week, where a bunch of people got selected and they got to be super special for a whole week and dress up like they were dead and walk around campus like they were dead. And it's showing you what Masons do. They pretend to die. That's just a big meme of Masonry, is they pretend to die and they go and become a new person. Hopefully you guys are enjoying this so far. I'm just gonna keep reading. Acting goes lower than just small-time local theater. By the way, in local theater, all main he/him characters get played by straight-up women, not even Martins, just women with boobs and vaginas who put zero effort into sounding remotely doodly. And yet, normal women are just about banned from all screens, save for hideously trashy fatzos and amputees or ancient old crones actively claiming that they're some castrato in another video. Hideous, unattractive bad women who are actively telling lies or making fools of themselves are briefly permitted on the screen. If they stuck around too long on the screen, people might realize that the guys and women look the same. There are unbelievably low, filthy, immoral abominations pretending to be human, and they'll show us their hideous faces. They just do that. It's something they're forced to do. They have no free will. No joke. There are cases where some school staff members and favored rich kids, star students, who are often involved in student government, and thus know all about office politics and BS that gets pulled in the department, they'll get together and conspire. I guess I'll just say here that this reminds me of, so they have no free will, and they're just forced to do a lot of stuff. So I don't know how common it is today. It's probably still pretty common today. Sometimes the BAFO children, they get forced to have like teen pregnancies during high school. I know more than one person that got teen pregnant, but you look at their skulls and bones and you're like, there's no way you got naturally pregnant. You went and got IVF'd at the age like 16. And I think that what it is they just get assigned that as their character. And I will say that the people who I know who stuff like that happened, they were like the bad kids. And so it's almost like it was against their will. It's almost like, hey, you're going to go to prison, or you're going to have to get your shit together, and you're going to your girlfriend is gonna get pregnant. And yeah, so there's just a few people like that I know in real life, and they're all like troubled kids who are probably getting into trouble, and then it's like, oops, you had a kid and you were only 16 or whatever, but you look at their skeletons and you know that there was no way that you naturally got pregnant. This is a psyop. And yeah, I just think that some of them, it gets put on them as like a way out of trouble. And I don't know why, like, I don't know why it gets them out of trouble, but it does, because it pushes the notion that women with huge shoulders and no hips can naturally get pregnant at 16. And that literally could be the only reason that they make them do that psyop. So, continuing. Personally, I've made friends with a teacher of mine, actual woman, who wanted to tell me all the juicy gossip and nasty students she loathed and wanted to see them fight. I love you, certain teacher. You're awesome, and I hope you're doing great. So yeah, this stuff exists and is swept under the rug. Swept under the rug, or people will only hint about it. Like, I don't know. They are so scared of straight up talking about it. They all follow the same BS rules. I don't know how they do it, how they all know the same jokes, how they all know how to skate the line perfectly between joking about the truth and hinting about the truth without right out saying it. They all robotically act the same, and I don't know exactly how they accomplish that. A lot of the programming is on the TV. You can see, oh, the people on TV joke about it, and they skate the line of talking about the truth, but leaving the duped in the dark. I know that my brother went away one weekend and they claimed that it was for some Christian camp thing. So there are some like BAFO camps out there, I think, where they do get a lot of training. And yeah, I'll just leave it at that. Remember those weird surveys where medical staff would come to the school and administer shots? There was some scenario I don't recall much of, but it had something about getting a shot against cervical cancer. And it had support groups of popular girls from school who would cheer on a girl who was about to take the shot. The support shot cheerleaders were, in retrospect, awfully rectangular, with long arms and necks, straight spines, and narrow hips. Something tells me their cervixes weren't much to write home about. And on that note, you ever notice those recent popular photos shared on Reddit where people grin with duping delight and receive shots with the cap still on? Anyways, vax was required for students to go to public school, but as the devil always knocks, you can always not give consent. They don't tell you about the options there are to circumvent the need vax thing. However, more elite families will just get some certification that they supposedly got vaccinations, but all they got was a certificate and no injections. The mark of the beast will not work like that, though. Everybody's going to be forced to get the mark of the beast. It's going to be a great equalizer. It'll be total communism at that point. And yeah. So, but I agree completely that super, super rich children and upper BAFO people, they don't really get vaccinations. They just get a doctor to sign off on it. The doctor probably even takes the medicine out of the vial, but then just squirts it straight into the trash can or into the sink and says, oh, you got your vax. Now get out of here. Some of the medical checkups would measure body proportions and especially the spine. Yeah, in middle school they did this. They claimed they were keeping a lookout for, it's not tuberculosis, they meant scoliosis. Same ending though. They claimed they were keeping a lookout for scoliosis or something, but that's a cover reason. They were looking to see what the skulls and bones of the students were. And notice how they do it around puberty age, too. Yeah, they check about puberty age, people's spines. They wanted to record how many male and female skeletons were present and see what their pronouns and identity were. Another thing no one will ever tell you is that underwear packers are a long-standing secret tradition, like moon bumps. Look that up. Yeah, tucking a sock in your pants is the oldest trick in the book. And tucking and taping, that's another long-standing tradition. I'll point out here that it's like a well-known question about gaffers. At least I think that's the word, gaffers. When you're reading the credits on a movie, there's always like gaffer comes up, and people are always like, what the heck is a gaffer? And they say it's something to do with the sound or lighting or something. I think it's the sound. But also it's really funny that a gaff it's a thing that people use to tuck their junk when they're pretending to be a girl. So I think it's funny. I bet gaffer It's probably a joke about all the people wearing gaffs in the industry. You know that joke of what's his face telling Jennifer Lawrence that she, the pronouns, they felt Jennifer Lawrence's penis during the sex scene. Yeah. People might admit that the elite do gender inversion, but no one wants to talk about how commoners copy the elite. Oh yeah, they tell us about ancient China and the foot binding. There's so many things that click when you understand the inversion. Why would a woman bind their feet? Well, a dude who wanted to look petite would certainly do such a thing. Or not that it would be forced on them at this point. Think of all the idiotic tattoos of passing celebrities or pop culture icons that people get regularly. Think of the ancient practice of tying boards to an infant's head to shape it like a tall cone, resembling the Nephilim. People would just blindly copy whatever was presented as popular and good, no matter the cost or downsides. They'll mutilate their own babies to look cool and hip. Do you know any families that pierce their infant daughter's ears? WTF, what kind of infant needs holes in their earlobes? You know these sick bastards do far, far worse things, with permanent mental consequences. This is a sick, sick world we live in, with an everything's fine paint job thinly covering it. Oh, and circumcision in the USA? Physmosis is a side effect of girl dicks being a thing. Doesn't happen to real men, but real men are rarer than whatever the fine gold of Ophir is. When you realize all the men are just modified females, the sheer self-destruction of a huge chunk of the population suddenly makes a whole lot of sense. Interrupted a thought about people selling their souls, got into a thing about faked business arrangements. Point was, how do you sell that which you never had? Illusions are what make up most of our everyday experiences. Illusions make up what goes on in most people's minds. There are tiers of hidden knowledge, and this knowledge was never hidden, but just covered up. And there was supposed to be a point about how, when supposedly people sell their souls to the devil or some other fallen angel figure, all they get is pathetic fame and fake money. They don't get, in real life, no clip. They don't get water breathing or firewalking. They only get money and fame. And then they have to pay the toll. No levitation, no phasing through walls. All magic tricks only exist on screens and not in front of real eyes. Have you ever noticed that teleportation and time pockets are mentioned in the New Testament? Have you ever noticed a very significant and drastic change in the demeanor of your former friends at around middle school age? So yeah, I will say that at middle school age, that's where I heard the most. That's where they teach the BAFOs about the digit ratio. I remember people in middle school were obsessed. Oh, with this finger and this finger. Yeah, middle schoolers don't just come up with that stuff. Middle schoolers don't just crack open an anatomy book and start researching about digit ratio. There's a reason that middle schoolers were talking about digit ratio. It's because that's when they were being illuminated into the anatomy aspects of the BAFO system. They suddenly had to abruptly cut ties with any tomboy friends of theirs, but were unable or unwilling to explain why the friendship was off now. Did they start wearing orange every chance they got? Did they become obsessed with 33, constantly making in-jokes they never explained? It was like their previous relationships with peers never happened in the first place. How much media aimed at children tackles the issue of baldness? So I'll just put here that there was... So I think that a big cover, or childhood cancer, I think can be a big cover for the invert children who their hormone treatments just aren't going well. And because I just know somebody who, and I mean, who knows, maybe taking a bunch of hormones when you're young can cause childhood cancer, but I just know some people that they were in school and then they just like disappeared for a while and they got bald and stuff, and then they just came back. And yeah, they were invert children. I think that a lot of it is some of the children, I think, do get messed up from the hormone treatments that they go on. Okay, think of all the movies and cartoons that have stories about a he-him character, usually a 10-year-old, going bald. There's this really messed up movie called Peanut Butter Solution, and you can go research that if you want. Sometimes the piece ends with, and then he grew his hair back and everything was good. But sometimes wigs are used a lot. Hint, hint. Wigs are so common. You know that doofy haircut that quote-unquote guys have these days where it's like the thickest rat pelt poof you've ever seen on top, and then they just shave down everything else? Yeah, that's a hairpiece. Hint, hint, wigs and toupees are an unannounced whole industry. There's a reason why you don't see this stuff advertised, but it's extremely, extremely, extremely common. They don't advertise it because that undoes the purpose. The whole purpose of getting a hairpiece is so that people don't know that it's fake. So that's why they don't advertise it. But just go spend like 10 minutes researching on YouTube hair weaves for men, or hair pieces for men, and you'll see how common it is. And just go look at what it looks like, and you'll be like, oh, why every single celebrity has doofy hair like that, with the super thick tuft of hair right on top of the head, and then they just like shave everything else down. It's just a hairpiece. Yeah, wigs and toupees are an unannounced whole industry, like moon bumps and glass eyes and plastic surgery. Think of all the characters in media who are missing an eye and a hand. I'll say this too, almost so many men in the media have eyebrow scars. Oh, my brother has an eyebrow scar. Yeah, because they get an eyebrow implant. Think of all like the idle shepherd who missed the flock. These media pieces are to desensitize and normalize children to things like the loss of hair, eyes, and fingers, and having giant eyebrow scars. There are so many cartoons and media people with obvious eyebrow scars. They accentuate it. These things are all associated with Freemasonic rituals. The hair loss is what happens when females take testosterone. That stuff is poison to females. It makes them permanently sick. Look up FTM transformations. Their voices change, their turtles poke their heads out, and they lose their hair and grow a gross beard that looks like pubic hair on a potato. I've mentioned it before. People who take testosterone, it gives them a dark greasiness around the eyes. And it looks like a panda kind of sometimes. I remember there were some quote-unquote boys in my high school. They looked always sick. I would look at them and I would be like, you look like very ill all the time. And what made them look ill was they had a darkness around their eyes. That is from testosterone therapy. Will make people look sick in their eyes. Darkness, a dark greasiness. Long enough page here. Soon I should dig into themes in the media aimed at school-age children. Other directories of the site. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Don't judge a book by its cover is something that's pounded into your brain from when you're really young. And it's probably just to get you to not pay attention to the world around you. They don't want you to notice all the people that claim to be women that just look like obvious dudes, and all the people that claim to be dudes that look like obvious women. I'm the kind of person that I love judging a book by its cover and by the title. A lot of what I base I don't really read books anymore, but what would make me interested in a book is the cover and the title. And so there is some truth to don't judge a book by its cover, but you shouldn't ignore the cover of a book, and you shouldn't ignore the title of a book. There's a difference between... Anyways, you still keep your eyes open. This is just the type of thing that they say to make people not pay attention to anything. Don't judge a book by its cover. They also say bodies come in all shapes and sizes. They pound that into people's brains so that they don't pay any attention. And it is true. So it is true. Don't judge a book by its cover necessarily, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't pay attention to it. Because of course there's going to be some ugly people, but you can still tell that there's goodness behind it. Okay, same thing with bodies come in all shapes and sizes. There is a truth to that, but the secret is that, well, the reason that bodies come in all shapes and sizes, it's not supposed to be like that. It's like that because of the inversion. And there's just so much hypocrisy here with the all shapes and sizes thing, because they'll do a poster like this. Fit, so it's ridiculous already. Fit and strong. Women are not supposed to be fit and strong of the two. So it's already ridiculous, and you can already see that the media is obsessed with saying, oh, women are strong. They're appealing to the inverts. However, the very last point I'm making with this is, they will come out and they'll say something like, bodies come in all shapes and sizes, but then what do? They give you 30 shades of invert, and they don't give you one real woman. Or they might give you 30 shades of free martins, and they won't show you a single man. They are the biggest hypocrites out there. And yeah, None of these are women. How can you say something? Fit and strong comes in all shapes and sizes. You know what they're trying to say. Women come in all shapes and sizes, because these are all allegedly women, but they're all dudes. Like, not even good passing. But people are so asleep. Oh gosh. So yeah, that's it for this video. Hope you enjoyed. God bless everyone.